If you don't want to see your face in this recording, put yourself on, on video mode. But right now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we won't see you anyway. Okay, here we go. Okay, welcome everyone. I am Allison Lane. I am here to share with you all the things that you need to know about how to query smart. And the querying is what you do when you're ready to pitch your book and to an agent or a publisher. If you want to be traditionally published, you have got to have an agent. If you're going to go after one of the big 5/4 or even a medium-sized publisher, if you're going with a smaller, independent press, you can often get away with not having an agent, but I gotta say, an agent can really help boost the rights that you get, your opportunities for the future, and it's really nice to have a partner who's essentially working for you. And so I just want to, there are lots of ways to go, lots of ways to publish, but this is one, and here are the things that you should know. So here we go. Let me see if I can make this work. So this workshop is for you. If you already wrote a book proposal or a whole book, and you're looking for very clear steps to nabbing your agent, and you don't want to waste time or money or procrastinate, which is when you keep taking classes over and over again, and then you just are wringing your hands because you never feel quite ready. That is a tough place to be. Also, a tough place to be is, the ever revealed steps to spending more money and to learn more about something that really you can just nail. And also, this workshop is for you if you're an expert and you need to parlay your recent, huge platform or award or something relevant and urgent about you that publishers and agents are going to say, wow, this is really marketable. You're going to want an advocate for yourself, and so you're going to want an agent. Or if you're an aspiring author and you think, oh, I would love to know what the hell is in front of me. What should I know? And I got to tell you, nobody tells you this stuff. You think, gosh, I'm going to go write a book. It's going to be great. And I'll submit it to publishers. And that is not the way it works. So I'm a straight shooter. So I'm going to tell you how it works. And a lot of you probably already know. So there are 3 steps to getting published. One is creating your thing, whatever it is, your book, your relevance, your expertise, your advocacy, your digital platform, your product, whatever it is. And it doesn't quite have to be your whole book, especially if you're writing nonfiction. But whatever it is, you have to conceptualize it, and then you have to craft your proposal and a query letter. So today we're just talking about the query. We can talk about the proposal later. And then you have to find an agent, an advocate, someone to, help you find that hook, and who those big publishers, they only take pitches from agents. Simon Schuster does not want you emailing them to their slush file. The agent is essentially like an actor's agent. They represent you, and they represent you well. And also they work for you. So keep that in mind. They are your employee because you pay them. Now, here's a big problem. So people think, oh, my book is amazing, but I just need to get an agent's attention. I once had a client say to me, my book is amazing. The agent just needs to read it. I don't want to write a query letter. And I was like, I don't know. It's not a good thing to say, like, I can't possibly boil my book's reason for being into 1 page. I would rather ask an agent to read 385 pages. No, I think she just had like publishing fatigue, but you can do this. You for sure can. And here's how. So the thing is, you might be thinking, everybody loves my book, or my message is important, or my audience is asking for my book. This particularly happens when someone has an expertise and maybe they do an online platform, an online program, digital marketing courses, not even marketing courses, digital workshops, self-help, whatever, and they think this is really going to be incredible. Hold on, I just want to make sure that nobody else is waiting to get in. Oh, see, I'm so glad that I checked, because there was somebody waiting in the waiting room. Okay, so you might be thinking, my book is going to break this genre open, or there hasn't been a book like mine in 20 years. And all of those things are true, dudes. They're like, and dudettes, they're all true. And yet none of them really matters, because you have to set up your book as a product to be sold, which means that, this is what I preach a lot, you have to be your book's best marketer. You have to be your business's best marketer. You have to know your value, or the value that you bring or you offer, or your book or your articles, the value that brings to someone else, because your agent does not want to figure that out for you. It used to be, like in the way olden days in the folklore of the literary world, that an agent would just like get sparked and have like their heartstrings plucked by an author who didn't do any of that marketing, and they would say, I see you like this, and this, and here's what we're going to do. That your agent is not a scout. They live on commission. So let's do that work for them. Okay. And so here, the thing is that people don't realize is that agents are not sitting there just waiting for people to send them their queries. They actually have full-time jobs, and those full-time jobs are actually representing their current clients, which means reading manuscripts, pitching editors, meeting with editors to find out what they need, helping their clients see, what the revisions are that are necessary. So they have a full freaking day, and that means that they're reading your query letter at night or on the weekends. Only when their current clients are taken care of, only when they have a gap, like they feel like, oh, I have room to take on a new client. And, all of us are busy, and I can't imagine that they're always looking for that, but they are. But sometimes they'll have, say they have 13 active clients in a year, their dance card might be full for the year. Plus, no matter what, they're getting inundated with other queries, and they tend to read their queries in batches of 20 or 30 while watching Netflix or while on vacation. So you want to stand out in a good way, remove all the negatives about your query, and make sure that they can see what you're trying to give them. So this is, here I have a comment from one of my clients, Miriam Schulman, who said, I got responses from some top agents. It was literally right away. More importantly, I got clarity about what the book is and what it's about, because I've gone through Allison's proposal process. Miriam has this incredible podcast called The Inspiration Place. She is an artist and a coach, and her book got snapped up. She went from developing her proposal with me to sold in 4 months, sold to Harper Leadership, and her book comes out next year. And here's Veronica Kieran. We're going to talk about Veronica's query letter. I'm going to show you in a minute. Veronica said, I confidently queried 20 agents. One replied within 6 hours to the stellar query letter Allison helped me craft. Others within days. Querying was a whirlwind of excitement. It was wonderful to have so many options. Veronica actually got 2 agent offers in her first round of querying. She's a serial entrepreneur and anthropologist. And boy, that was a fun conversation to have. I had to pull over into a parking lot so that we could figure out what questions she was going to ask to both of them. And here's another one from Noble Fallen. The amount of detail and guidance you gave me in one session is incredible. It felt so good to finally see my query written out so smoothly and professionally. Noble received 10 agent interests, likes, which were essentially requests for the full manuscript after PitMad last fall. And now The Missing Nanny comes out next year. So I'm showing you this because I want you to know that this methodology that I'm going to show you works for fiction, it works for nonfiction business, it works for memoir. It is essentially the P's and Q's, the meat and potatoes, the plug and play to let you achieve what you're looking for. Now, a little bit about me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Allison Lane. I am an editor and a marketer and a writer. I run Allison Lane Literary, where I help people get published and market their work. I'm also the host and founder of Creative Nonfiction Community. This is a free online community, probably where you found me, and I'm an advocate for writers. I really want you to know you're all a big effing deal. Okay, you don't need to ask permission. You don't need to spend 10 years in the trenches. You can write something or have a concept and develop a proposal, a query letter, and a manuscript, and you can do it all. You don't have to go through every step and trial and tribulations and pain. And what I do is I bring all of my marketing expertise from running PR for global brands that you see here, and for being just a tenacious woman. This is me on my old cow pony, Charlie. Yes, his name was Charlie Horse, which I thought was funny. And you have to be the brand steward of your own brand, which means you have to nail it. But I'm going to show you how. If you have any questions throughout, just throw them in the chat, and I'm watching. I'm two screens, so I'm watching. Oh, hi, Stephanie. And I'm going to keep moving forward. So this is how we roll. Use the chat, raise your hand. We'll get to it either within, while I'm rolling through these, or afterward. So agents reject your query letter when the premise is like, or if the word count is wacky, under the range or like way over the range. For them, they just, it's almost like they're like, I just don't have it in me to help someone shave 100,000 words from their memoir. They just think that person's not quite there yet. They should have asked a critique partner, or they should have joined an online community. But that's why you're here, because I'm going to tell you what the word counts are. Or if your comps, the books that you're comparing your books marketing opportunity to, if they're out of this world, if you're like batshit crazy about that, they're going to be like, no, your book is not the next Harry Potter. You can't even say that. Don't even think it, because to say my book is the next phenomenon, it's so wishful thinking. I would love to say that all of your books are going to spawn a movie empire, but like maybe not. Let's just be realistic. If the way that you present your plot, and yes, your nonfiction self-help book has a plot, if it's everywhere but nowhere, if your bio is like milk toast, and if you have typos, goodness, there are so many easy ways to get rid of those. So we don't want any of those things to happen. What we do want is to adhere to the industry standards, right? There's some wiggle room, but you'll see here, you've got genres and expectations of word count. So even picture books, sometimes you hear like, oh, picture books, 800 words. No. Usually picture books around 300 or even less, because the words don't do the heavy lifting, the pictures do. And for those, you do not need a proposal. You need a query. For all of these, you need a query letter, and you need the manuscript for a picture book. For all of fiction, you need the whole manuscript. And for memoir, you need the whole manuscript. So anything from middle grade, to adult, you need a proposal. For nonfiction, you need a proposal and 2 sample chapters. Nonfiction being anything but memoir, because a memoir is about you. It's like a novel where you are the main character. It really feels like a novel, like the plot points, the arc, the message. But for nonfiction, self-help, prescriptive business, historical, true crime, sports, and a slew of others, just the proposal. And keep in mind that you might be holding someone's memoir and say, well, this memoir is 95,000 words. Like, that's great. Maybe that person, Dani Shapiro can write 110,000 word memoir because she's a multi New York Times bestseller and people wait for her memoirs. But yours might be a debut. So, stick to 65, 70. It'll be an easier sell. Okay, so these are just general. What I've done here is I've just compiled what I've seen, and also the feedback that Sarah Ennie, who has the First Draft podcast, and this sub-series within her series called Track Changes. Genius. You should be listening to this podcast. So she interviewed a couple of agents, Holly Root and Seth Fishman, and they went through what the word counts are. Also, these are pretty standard. You can also find them on The Shit No One Tells You About Writing. So you'll hear Cece Lyra and Carly Waters, who are with PS Literary. They say the same thing. So this is not one person's point of view. This is sort of industry expertise. Unfortunately, there's no So You Want to Be a Writer website, which would be awesome. And that way, this would be posted there. And all the things I'm sharing with you would be posted there. But that's not how we roll. So the query letter is essentially 5 paragraphs. Okay, so it's Dear Agent. And keep in mind that it's great to be formal, like, you would call me Ms. Lane, but you don't know if I'm non-binary. You don't know if I go by they, them. Be safe, use a first name. And then you have essentially a personalization, 1 or 2 sentences up front. You have a premise paragraph, a plot paragraph, and then a pro paragraph. That's about you, because you're the pro. And then a dismount, you just want to leave somebody wanting more, like a little pow at the end. And then warm regards, you, with some details about you. Your phone number, your email address. We do not want your home street address. It is not necessary. It's just more stuff at the bottom. The query letter itself is about 1 page. If it skips onto 2 pages, this is 1 page, double space, 12-point type. Not that you're going to double space it. It'll probably get emailed. But it is, if it's more than 350 words, just know that you're going long and probably you need to trim. I'm going to show you 2 versions of actual query letters that landed an agent and a publishing contract here. So let's start with fiction. Okay, so fiction, just so you know, really depends on the plot, the who the writer is. They could literally say, I am a human, and it'd be fine, because they're not looking for you to be part of the marketing plan, although that's great. So first, you want to personalize. I was excited to see your October 5th Twitter post about seeking historical suspense with young female protagonists. Now, I'm pointing out that the words that are in red, I'm pointing out because they are the metadata about the writer's work. So you wouldn't want to personalize saying, I really loved that you recently signed X writer, because that doesn't do anything to mirror back to you about what it is that you're writing, right? So with Noble, I was like, okay, well, first of all, I think he was calling his genre mystery. Like, no, it's not mystery. It's too general. It's historical suspense. And also his comps were all wrong. So I just rewrote everything, which is what I tend to do. And then the premise paragraph is, the missing nanny is my 65,000, and you don't have to write the 000, just put a K, word missing person historical suspense that mixes the nail-biting action of Netflix's Enola Holmes and the undercover detective of Just Kids Things in Jars. Now, what's helpful about this is that we're, again, underlining the type of historical suspense, the missing person, and then two elements of Noble's novel, not just saying it mixes, it's like Netflix's Enola Holmes. Like, well, in what way? Is it set in historical London? Is it about a very wealthy girl? Like, it's really helpful to point that out. And same thing with Just Kids. Like, that's a really dark novel. Maybe the element is darkness. You don't want to leave it to the agent to wonder, like, oh, what element of this and what element of that? So be a friend and figure out what elements are you trying to build. And you want to add something. You don't want to repeat something that you already said. And then we have, for this particular query, I wrote two different sections of the plot paragraph because I don't like a big wall of words. So the plot: in her final test to join Scotland Yard, Elizabeth goes undercover to replace the missing nanny at the ancestral Smith estate and solve the case in record time. Okay, so now we know what the stakes are. She finds scratch marks under a carpet, follows a lurking stranger to a hidden chamber, and discovers a corpse in the garden, all in the first week. Oh, crap, that sounds really exciting and out of the gate. Wow, what's next? Then the plot: Elizabeth must solve the mystery while serving William Smith and his wife Harriet, caring for precocious William Smith Jr. and mingling amongst the maid, the butler, and the gardener, if only she can survive the summer. Wow, that's a little cliffhanger. And also, we know what she's doing. She has to solve something, she has to serve people, she has to mingle, and she has to survive. So you get the plot beats here. And then we have the pro. Again, this is fiction. So what Noble had to share was, I am a person of color, Moroccan, born and raised in Belgium, and studying multimedia, 2D and 3D animations, audiovisual editing. And then the POW of points to, what can the agent do next? My complete manuscript and proposal are available upon request. Thank you for your consideration. It's a quick dismount, but you don't need to be effusive of like, I really appreciate what you do. Like, it's fluff. This is a business letter. So the agent knows that you're pitching them. You're not trying to interview a best friend or hang out via email. Okay. I'm just gonna check the chat and see if there's anything about this that is, people are wondering about. Chat. Oh, 16 questions in the chat. Come on. Shouldn't things in jars be capitalized, Mona? No, because things in jars is a comp. The missing nanny should be capitalized. The name of your book should be capitalized in the query, not the comps. It's super confusing to an agent. So no, don't capitalize your comps. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, so here's a nonfiction. This is Veronica Kieran's query. I have permission from her to share this with you. She is delightful. you should all follow her on Instagram at Veronica Kieran. Okay, so what she said in her personalization, I loved your recent Twitter post about the lingering effects of toxic masculinity on today's female business leaders. As one of Forbes' Next 1,000 Upstart Entrepreneurs Redefining the American Dream announced last month, I am passionate about changing perspectives, especially as a queer entrepreneur on the list that now comprises 60% women. Now, this is a really important point for nonfiction, because there are key terms that you want to own, and you want to sprinkle them in to make to point out to the agent without saying I'm queer or I just won this award. So you're weaving it together to make it super relevant and give the agent context. So what Veronica didn't say was, I really enjoy your podcast, which doesn't do anything for Veronica, and it doesn't really tell the agent anything other than give them a compliment. So this is super important about that intro. And then her premise, my 67-word prescriptive nonfiction, Building Your Empire, How to Fearlessly Expand Your Business Impact and Income, delivers strategies for unlocking your potential, building your 70-year plan, and creating your expansive legacy through entrepreneurship. It delivers the swift kick in the ass for women in Jen Sincero's badass habits, cultivate the awareness, boundaries, and daily upgrades you need to make them stick, while putting a woman's entrepreneurial voice to the distilled steps in Jack Canfield's success principles. Again, this premise is super tight. There are not extra words in this paragraph. And it really delivers essentially what you would see in an announcement of, HarperCollins, Harper leadership just signed this book, which is about this, this, and this. And also it's voicey. You've probably heard me talk about the need to be voicey, which means, this line, delivers the swift kick in the ass for women, because Veronica's it didn't occur to her to do that. She was like, well, it's like Jen Sincero's book. Like, yes, but what about it? Is it a women's business book? Is it a mindset book? She was like, oh no, it's about momentum. Like, okay, well, we can say momentum better, and make it voicey and snappy. And so that is what I wrote. And that worked, right? So let's go to her plot page. So her plot paragraph. Millennial women entrepreneurs struggle to transition their role from day-to-day business owner to legacy builder. Despite having more freedom and success than ever, Building Your Empire pivots their thinking and catapults them into building their entrepreneurial future by introducing the foundations of empire building, the practical steps to achieve the 3 pillars of business scaling, and the sustaining practices of self-care through scaling. They'll learn how to find their business blind spot, the 8 ways to avoid losing their shit, and to maximize their human 24-hour limit. Ultimately, they'll be ready to pursue a clear, sustainable path for decades of success. So what this plot paragraph does is it tells you what their obstacle is, what they need, what they get introduced to in the book, and what they get to leave with. It delivers the promise. That's important about these plot paragraphs in the query. Okay, and then her pro paragraph. I am a serial entrepreneur, anthropologist, and expat living in Berlin, known as the Silicon Valley of Europe. I work with global business leaders to scale their impact and income while managing imposter syndrome. In 2020, I was named one of Business Equality Network's 40 LGBTQ leaders under 40. My 2 TEDx talks feature my anthropological research on paradigm shifts. My book, Stories of Elders, Identity Publications 2018, won the 2020 National Indie Excellence Award for U.S. History and was a finalist for the 2020 International Books Award for General History. The documentary, based on the book, also won finalist honors in the 2020 Liftoff Film Festival, a global short film showcase. So you can see, again, the pro paragraph is, it's filled with very condensed content, and you can do this too. And I pulled out some of that content in red so that you could see that we're really stringing together bullet points. Okay. What if we are nowhere? Let's see. Shouldn't you? So would you italicize the comps? Yes, Stephanie asked, would you italicize the comps? Yes, I do italicize the comps. Let me go back. Whoop, whoop. For this, I didn't, but yes, in the, just because Canva is weird with this, but yes, I always italicize the comps in a query letter. Sometimes if you're sending in a query tracker, the formatting gets stripped. So that's why you want to have your book's name in all bold or all caps, because that doesn't get stripped out. And don't put the comps in all caps. It's too confusing. Let's see, Mia asks, what if we are nowhere near as accomplished as Veronica Kieran? I gotta tell you, Veronica didn't know she was as accomplished as she is. She came to me and said, I just won this award. I feel like it's time to, have a book. And then that was on a Thursday. We spent an hour on a Thursday and cleaned up things on a Friday. And I pulled a bunch of, and she said, okay, well, I kind of want to query. And then while I'm waiting for people to get back to me, agents to get back, we'll pull together my proposal. And oh my gosh, we queried live during the session. We queried live, I don't know, 5 or 6 agents. And then she said she was going to query another 5 or 6 over the weekend. She got a response in 30 minutes, less than. And requesting the full proposal and a meeting. And then, so instead of doing my 6-week usual, we meet once a week, we put together her entire proposal in, I want to say 2.5 weeks, the whole kit and caboodle. That really, crashed the boards, for a sports metaphor. I'm not sportsy, but I'm here that's sports metaphor. And that's not the huge. I would not suggest that, but she really wanted to get that out there, and so we did that. Okay, so I just want to point out some things about comps. Some people are asking about comps. How old can comps be? I just want to point out that there are 3 ways that comps are used. One is in a log line, which sums up the entire book. Oftentimes that's used in a book description. Or if someone says, what are you writing about? You can say, I'm writing about motherhood, infertility, and dashed expectations. Just like you would find in this person's book. And sometimes that's in deal reports, which I'll talk about in a minute. The second use is in the query, which is often the A times B formula that helps you call out the theme or the premise, and then in the proposal, which is an entirely different thing. So Julie, your question is, how old can comps be? In a proposal, 3 years old. No more. In a query, you can use I would say I would suggest something that is that positions your book as relevant for now, but you could say a modern take on Pride and Prejudice set in Nebraska. So it's not so much about the age of the book for the query. There are different uses. Okay. Your query can be, your query comps can be X plus Y, so your book is a mashup, and you should know that X and Y need to be different, or A and B need to be different. So you're not doing yourself any favors if you say, you know, my YA novel, my young adult novel is like Twilight and you know, Veronica Roth's latest and Vampire Diaries. Like, well, they're both about vampires. So pick something different. Or it could be subject matter. You can call out a style or a voice or a technique. So you could do a mashup of two movies like Breakfast Club and Twilight, or songs, or a song in a movie, or a book and a song. You can make it funny if X and Y had a crazy sister. So any which way, and you can be clever about it. Clever and surprising. You can make mistakes, you know, comping icons. Nobody wants to hear you say, my book is like Stephen King, or I'm the next Brene Brown. You're not. It's like a phenomenon. If you comp books in your proposal that are older than 5 years, it doesn't provide a great sales forecast for you because it's irrelevant, but that's for proposal. Querying, again, you can use whatever you want to, but if you say, I just can't find any comps, it's not true. You can find comps for everything. Your book is not so out of this world that it's never been seen before. I mean, even Harry Potter had comps. Of course, they were all blown to smithereens, but you know, Boy Wizard, yeah, you can comp that. Let's see, Mona is saying, should we explain how they mash up? Yes, you should explain how they mash up when you say it provides this element of this book and this element of that book. That's how you explain. You don't need to add more words to say more. They get it. They're used to seeing this formula was developed by agents saying, you know, for like the industry saying, here's how to present comps in a query. I'm just telling you in advance. You can hone your query doing research. You can go to queryshark.com. The Query Shark, Janet Reed, she's an agent or an editor or insider. She's done these, you know, free query assessments, and for years she is retired from that now, but you can go and read what's there. You can go to Absolute Right and people share their queries as well. You can get critique partners and swap. You can do that in the creative nonfiction writers community if you'd like. In fact, we encourage you to do it. Just post your original query and say, I'm looking for input. And or come to our next compassionate critique session, which is January 12th. It's a Wednesday at noon Eastern, and bring your query. And we you workshop it in a small group. It gets better. You can go to the manuscriptacademy.com and look at the lists of agents there, and they have examples on their websites. Or you can join the Manuscript Academy itself, which is manuscriptacademy.com. You can join. It's $49.99 a month. You get access to a ton of resources from the Manuscript Academy, and I can't recommend it enough. Our group, the Creative Nonfiction Writing Community, was born out of that group, and so I just always want to say they're incredible. And you can join associations and go to webinars about querying put on by the Nonfiction Writers Association. You're getting it here. You can get one-on-one support from editors. You can hire me if you want to, like Veronica did, or you can come to a workshop, which is, I have one upcoming, and we can actually work on your query. Now, finding an agent. Finding an agent is the next step. Once you know what it is that you're selling, you can find an agent. Use the manuscriptwishlist.com. It is free. Free is good. This is a free database, and it works on Twitter. You do not need to be active on Twitter to use the manuscript wishlist hashtag in the advanced search. But if you go to manuscriptwishlist.com, you will learn how to use this. Also, Publishers Marketplace has a free newsletter called the Publisher's Lunch. Sign up for it. You will get a daily email that shows you the deals that have been signed on that day or announced on that day. And it will show you these log lines of these books. You'll go, oh my gosh, after a while, you will absorb how to present your book in a clear, compelling, and catchy way. You can also use Query Tracker, which is free while you start querying. It keeps track of your queries. Or there are a ton of others. This information is out there, just no one pulls it together like I do. Here are just so you have eyeballs on the logos: Manuscript Wishlist, Query Tracker, Publishers Marketplace. Publishers Marketplace is also a membership. You can get $25 a month. You can get access to their searchable database, which is what I have. You are ready to query when you have your proposal and your query letter, and either your manuscript, your full manuscript for fiction and memoir, or sample chapters for nonfiction, and also some sort of document so that you can keep track of who you queried, when, what they were looking for at the time. Oftentimes agencies only let you query one agent at a time at that agency, or one agent ever from that, for that piece of work. So you got to keep track. If you want to move forward, just know that you're going to be querying in batches of 10 or 15. Do not limit yourself to one person. Don't get your heart set on one agent. It's not fair to you, and you are not looking for a spouse or a lover. You are looking for an employee who's going to be on your team. So you are not allowed to fall in love with some agent who you think is going to be your new BFF, and you're going to go on vacations together, and maybe you'll go to, visit Cuba. This is not your new best friend, although you will have a rapport with them. Also, do not pay for an intro to an agent. This is not necessary. This is what agents preach. They have websites. They want you to query them through their query inbox, which used to be called the slush pile, but that's where they get most of their new clients. Avoid agents that require exclusive submissions. They do that because they're like the tippy top, they're like the Oprah of the literary world. You don't need that agent. You know why? Because they have a ton of other clients, and they're probably not going to have a ton of time to spend with you unless you are the next Brene Brown, which we've already talked about. Maybe you are, but I don't normally, guide my clients to people who are in the top 5 of all agents of all time. If you want more help to actually write and finish your captivating query letter, you can join my workshop on December 21st. That's at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Like doing the math on that is always hard. Journalism degree. And here's what you get. You get my fill in the blank template. You get all of my intros, that personalization. Oftentimes that's the thing that people really flop on. They're either diarrhea of the mouth or just something terse, and it really needs to play in your on your behalf. You get my agent tracking document and all my best practices and hand-holding, and you can even submit your draft query before the workshop to be live critiqued and improved during that. You get all of these cheat sheets before the class so that you can really come prepared. Or if you don't think that you're ready for that, and you think, I really feel like I need to pull my, put my poop in a group, which is a nice way of saying something else, or I need to work on my bio, or I need still to build my website, come to the Building Your Author Toolkit workshop, because you are an effing big deal. And if you don't know how to pull together the brand of you in a website, in a pitch, in photos, and pull that all together, then the query process is going to be hard, because you're still going to be pulling together milk toast. And I don't want that for you. That's next week, December 15th, 2 p.m. Eastern for me, 11 a.m. Pacific for West Coasters, and the in-betweeners, you know who you are. If you are ready to do all of these things and you think, I have a book out, I'm building a brand, I want to know how to build my discoverability to leverage and market myself, you can come to my workshop, Craft Your Marketing Roadmap for 2022. And that's pitching, building, how to pitch podcasts, how to land media interviews, what to do with those once you have them, how to prepare for the interview, all of my best marketing techniques draped over you. Now, free coming up in the creative nonfiction community. Please join us on Sunday with our author chat with Lucy Frost, who's a humor and satire writer. She is dang hilarious. And come to the next Compassionate Critique session, January 12th. Now, let me go. Oh, you can always connect with me in all the ways, or if you feel like I just want your one-on-one attention, book an hour. It's a power hour. Questions. Let me go back. Let's see. Julie says, do we tell these are multiple submissions? No, you do not have to do that. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Stop sharing. No, don't eat up your 350 words by don't eat up your 350 words by telling people something that's totally obvious. It is absolutely expected that you will be submitting to multiple agents. Because these people are in sales. If you were going to get your landscaping done at your house, you would still get estimates, right? That's what you're doing when you're querying multiple agents. You want to get other people's points of view. You're going to pay this person 15% of whatever you make. You want to have some comparisons. So they know you don't need to do that. Abby says, thank you so much for this great information. Looking forward to our upcoming conversation. I've been using Abby's website in a lot of my my marketing examples, so I love her work. She's an incredible writer. If you don't already, you should be following Abby Schwartz. And let's see, Diane, so helpful and informative. I'm so glad. Mona.
Yeah, I have one quick question before we go. My question about the mashup of two titles, because I'm going to rewrite two of them, both my queries. But I understand how to use like the voice of one and the tone of the other. But if I were to say it is a mashup of two titles, like if I said they had a baby, like this book and that book had a baby, would I explain what that baby was like, is what I'm saying. If this book and that book had a baby who was or what did, is that how you do that?
Yeah, you would definitely want to describe the baby.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
This book and that book had a mean baby. Because otherwise you're just saying it's a combination of this book and this book.
And they are totally different, and they're totally different books.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just wanted to clarify that, because I've seen that in different people's query letters. This book and that book had a baby. I've seen that in examples, but I'm like, how? Why? So you definitely have to say, what is that baby like and why are you saying that?
Or make sure that it's totally obvious.
Yeah.
You just, you know, I would work on it and then bring it to the compassionate critique or post it in the creative nonfiction community.
Yeah.
Just,
It's something, and I do have a critique partner. So it's
yeah.
something that I'm putting in the drawer for later because I'm actually changing the genre of that book and pursuing something else.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay.
but I just wanted to know about that question in particular.
Okay.
So thank you.
Sure. All right. Hey, this is so great. Stephanie says, oh, I have some query letter trimming to do. I thought 450 words was okay. I think you could do better than 450 words. I mean, you know, you just have to take a scalpel out and go, do I need this word? Can I trade this word for something else? That's what I do. Usually when I work with people, they usually don't come to me like Veronica did, where she had 0. We started from the blank page. They usually come to me with something, and then I go, okay, well, we don't need this. We're going to move this around. We're going to pack it in, and then boom, we're ready. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.